attention, please. Your attention, please. Attention, please.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here.
Hello, good morning, or night, or afternoon, or... Welcome to the Talking to Myself podcast. I am your host, Eddie, and I'm going to be honest with you guys today. I am very tired. Going against my normal routine, it is only 12:26 a.m. on September 6th, 2016. Normally I would wait a couple more hours to start recording, but I am so beat. I was up until 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday working on this podcast and another pet project that I'm doing. And unfortunately, you generally can't stay up very long after only getting about 5 hours of sleep and then working a 7-hour shift. So I'm going to have to ask everybody to bear with me today. The song you just heard was recommended to me by a buddy of mine. It is called Que Sera by Wax Taylor, a French artist. I actually don't know very much about him, to be honest. I was just trying to think of a song to use in the podcast today, and my buddy recommended it, and I thought it worked really well. Today, I think I'm just going to talk about this little pet project that I have going on the side, and cut it a little bit short, unfortunately. That being said, at this point, I don't actually have any listeners at all, so I'm not really disappointing anybody, hopefully. And if this channel ever gets popular and somebody comes back to it, sorry for the short, boring podcast that you're going through in the back end of my YouTube videos. Just to prove how beat I am and how absolutely I do not want to do this podcast, I do not have a trope of the day. I don't have the weather of the day. I don't even really have any news. So this is just going to be me talking to a microphone for a little while. Literally just talking to myself. So at least at the end of the day, you do get what you clicked on. So as I mentioned in my first podcast, the entire reason that I started doing the podcast in the first place was because A, I wanted to learn how to edit video, and B, I'm an insane person and I like to talk to myself, and this still holds true. And it's only been 3 days since I started doing the podcast, obviously. And I am thoroughly obsessed with editing video to the point where I have taken it upon myself to begin a pet project related to Resident Evil, a video game series, even though I absolutely don't have time for it. But bored people have done worse things than getting in too deep with something that they don't even know how to do. So, essentially, the big overarching scheme of the pet project videos that I'm making is to basically explain the history of the Resident Evil series as shortly and succinctly as possible. I've always had an extreme fondness for the Resident Evil series to the point where I think like 3 or 4 of my top 10 video games of all time are actually part of the Resident Evil series. And I've been very frustrated with the way that the video game series has gone in the past couple of years. I was underwhelmed by Resident Evil 5, disgusted by Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, and just devastated with Resident Evil 6. And a lot of other people were too. And I just I wanted to go back to the roots. I wanted to talk about the first games in the series. You know, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, all the way up to Resident Evil Code Veronica. Even including stuff like the remake and even Resident Evil Gaiden, which is, at the end of the day, still a really interesting, weird game. So just like anything else that I'll make a pet project, it will probably be up on the channel at some point if you are interested in watching it. And if I ever do get an actual video made, because I spent about 8 hours last night working on the video, and I got about 1 minute and 35 seconds of actual video out of it, which, considering the fact that I actually don't know what I'm doing, I'd almost call it an accomplishment. Hopefully people who aren't big fans of the Resident Evil series, and even people who are big fans, will be able to appreciate the video, because I'm trying to make it good. I'm not hacking it together like an idiot. I'm learning how to do stuff as I'm doing it and making it look as good as possible to keep people's attention for as long as possible. Just the one other thing that I want to talk about tonight is a couple YouTube videos that I got turned on to recently that I've been binge watching. My life depends on it. The first one being Captain Christian with K's. It is a recently made YouTube channel. It's only been around for about 5, maybe 6 months. And he only has about 8 or 9 videos out. He does pop culture analysis. Currently he has videos up for things ranging from Bugs Bunny to Spider-Man to Calvin and Hobbes. Him and the other YouTubers that I'm going to talk about got me onto this video editing kick that I've been on recently. If anybody is actually listening to this podcast at some point, you can probably go thank Captain Christian, Every Frame of Painting, and Ahoy for me making these videos. Because after watching all three of their videos, I'll get to a frame, or a painting every frame, or every frame of painting, and Ahoy, after I talk about Captain Christian a little bit more. Captain Christian seems to be the standout for me. Every Frame of Painting is very good. So Every Frame of Painting is by this guy named Tony Zhao. He is ostensibly a film editor, and he has a very deep knowledge and love for the craft of video editing. His videos delve into the use of camera shots and lighting and quadrant systems to catch viewers' eyes and keep them interested over the course of the movie. And even down to stuff like acting, stuff like Jackie Chan's physical comedy, or Robin Williams, how he can steal a scene. And they're very well put together videos. And the third one is Ahoy. Ahoy is ostensibly a British man who has a very deep knowledge and love for firearms. And video games and movies too, but a lot of his videos are historical accounts of guns, such as the Colt 1911 and the FAL and the M16 and the Walther PPK, I believe he has a video about. All three of these people have like 10-minute long-ish videos about something that they're passionate about. And I decided that I want to make a video about something that I'm passionate about, which is actually just Resident Evil. I'm going to link all three of those YouTube channels in the description. I strongly suggest anybody who is listening to this podcast watches them, because just the production quality is the real kicker. These aren't just random people talking about something over pictures of something. Especially Captain Christian. All three of them use very well made film editing or video editing to just constantly hold your attention. Captain Christian's use of transition effects and just his general, just how the video is structured is leaps and bounds across, or more than anything I've seen on YouTube, except for maybe Kurzgesagt. And Ahoy is very close to him. Every Frame of Painting is more about the intellectual aspect of it. At the end of the day, his videos are just clipped together pieces of movies, but his analysis of the clipped together pieces of movies, is the most interesting thing that I've seen on YouTube in a while. And Ahoy, the dude just loves things. You can tell. You can tell how much he loves everything that he talks about in all his videos. Oh, and I mentioned Kurzgesagt. In the same vein, he makes videos about science stuff. He has videos about entropy and evolution and stuff like that. And if you're a science-minded person, medically minded, or just, universe minded, and you like learning about stuff, I'd also suggest you go watch Kurzgesagt, because his production quality and his videos are great, to the point where I can't believe that it's one person. I don't know if it is. I don't know enough, but very rarely you'll catch, YouTube videos where it's a team of people working on it until you get to the very tippy top. PewDiePie or Game Grumps or even like Freddie W. all have like, a bunch of people working on their stuff, or Rooster Teeth or Slow Mo Guys, anything related to any of those people. I do want to apologize. I'm really beat. I'm going to get a lot of sleep tonight, and I'm going to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tomorrow night when I record the video for September 7th. For those of you who did listen, I am sorry for rambling. It's going to be better. It's going to be better next time. So, thank you for listening. Goodbye, and have a nice day.